Hi everyone, I'm Josh and welcome to Josh Wright Piano TV. Happy New Year. I wanted to share 5 tips to help you maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of your practice sessions today. These are not necessarily tips that we've discussed previously on this channel. I'm always trying to come up with new tips. So we have hundreds of videos going over various technical tips and little shortcuts that can help you get the results you want faster. These are methods taught to me by many famous teachers and things I've discovered in my own practicing. But today's tips are just a little bit different, but they should still help you in 2021 to make your or any year you're watching this, to make your practice sessions much more efficient and just improve the quality and also hopefully your happiness level while you're practicing. The first thing, the first couple are things that I don't think I've ever discussed. Number 1, optimize your environment around your practice sessions. Keep your studio really clean. If I have a bunch of books and sheet music and everything around here, it can be distracting. Some people like that. Some people feel inspired when they have a million books, but I find that a very clean environment helps me. So I'll have my phone here if I need my metronome or I need to write something down, and then I'll have my score, and that's it. And I'll, my wife and I, well, maybe I'll leave a comment in the description or in the comments section below if you want me to do a studio tour this year. I don't know if that's of any interest, if you kind of want to see how I have everything set up in here. But like my wife has a stack of books on our little computer table, and I have a stack of books, and all the mics are routing into that one, oh my gosh, I'm blanking, the Zoom F6 right there. And everything is well organized in the studio. I recently did a complete overhaul where I got all my cords wrapped very nicely, and it's so nice to be in a really clean environment. Number 2, optimize your instrument. So if you need a new instrument, maybe start saving for that. If you have an instrument that you love, or even if you don't love it but it's in bad shape, get that instrument tuned. There's something so much more inspiring about playing on an instrument that is optimized, and open up your lid and enjoy the acoustics of that if possible. If you're in an apartment, I understand that sometimes you have noise ordinances and different rules around that. But whenever possible, optimize your instrument or look for opportunities to play on a better instrument. So if there's a local church or university or friend's house or acquaintance that you have that will allow you to play on a grand piano, if you only have a digital piano at home or just a little upright piano, that will be very helpful. So that's tip number 2, optimize your instrument. Tip number 3, this is kind of a weird one, and I'm not trying to get all woo-woo in this video, but begin your practice session with some type of either meditation or prayer or gratitude or breathing exercise, whatever it might be, to optimize your mind for your practice session. You would be so surprised at how much that helps you have a good practice session. If you're just stressed about so many things, if you've been watching any news, first of all, shut that off and, quiet the mind down. That will help you tremendously in your effectiveness in your practice session. So just a little gratitude practice before you start. Be so grateful that you have a means of expressing yourself through music. That's something that I always thought was pretty universal, and it's not. I remember this boy, Arson, when he was very young, emailed me. He's from Afghanistan, and he said it was my dream to one day see a grand piano. Now he's pursuing his studies. I think at the college level. It's a real miracle for him, and I'm so proud of him. But that just opened my eyes so much that he had never even seen a grand piano. And here so many of us are on, whether it's a digital piano or a upright piano or a grand piano, whatever it might be. So that gratitude really goes a long way. Number 4, sometimes I like to prime my mind a bit with recordings before I play. It just brings such a great level of inspiration. Another thing is sometimes I get this attitude of frustration when I listen to recordings. I'm like, if they can do that, I can do that, and having this more defiant attitude sometimes is the catalyst to getting in a faster tempo or hearing something in particular that will help you listen harder or listen more carefully in your own practice for a specific type of clarity or looseness in your technique or lightness or extra vibrant sound, whatever it might be. So listening to recordings before you start is tip number 4. Be careful, though, to not be too affected by tempo in listening to recordings than starting your practice session. A lot of times if you're listening to, say, a Rachmaninoff concerto being played by Ashkenazi, which is so lightning fast, and then you go to try to play that and you're 20 notches below him, you're going to end up rushing like crazy. So be careful of that. But listen for musical concepts and textural possibilities in those recordings. That can really help to optimize your practicing. And then finally, I'm going to do a little demonstration here. This is just putting me on the spot. I did not prepare this in advance because I wanted to show you how this works. So you'll probably watch me struggle here. But my 5th and final tip to get you started on the right foot in the new year is to use your mind to learn. I was thinking about a good analogy, and this is a terrible analogy. I couldn't come up with anything great, but imagine reading a book, but putting on 3 pairs of sunglasses and trying to read that book and then have music blaring in your ear. I sometimes think that's how learning can become if you're only using the music and you're kind of checked out with your mind. So I'm memorizing the third movement of Chopin Concerto right now, number 1. Beautiful piece. I'm really having a lot of fun. I've only worked on it for 3 or 4 weeks now. And, I probably started it at the beginning of December, but fairly inconsistent practice in the beginning of December. But I'm memorizing it right now. And this little passage has been giving me trouble just with some fingering issues. And as I get that up to speed more. Okay. So often when I go to memorize that, I'll just kind of play through it a few times. And if it's feeling good technically, I can kind of make my way through that. But how much am I actually absorbing? Let's do the next part since I just played that a bunch of times. I want to start with reading it as though it's a book. Okay, so I can't really perfectly do this because you guys don't know what's going on in my mind. So I'm going to, in my mind, read this part. Okay, I'm going to read that a couple of times. And just as if I'm reading a book. So I'm noticing F sharp to D sharp to E to C sharp. Oh, that's easy. Those are just falling thirds. So F sharp minor, going to E major, resolving to D minor, and then finally ending up on C major. You don't have to analyze every single chord. Oh, that's my diminished chord. E major, okay? C sharp diminished. You can analyze every chord if you'd like, but when you're memorizing, at least hold on to a few places. So I want to hold on to F sharp minor, E major, D major, C major. Okay, let's try that. Okay, and I'm a little nervous right now. I know it's probably not showing, but and I'm just going to check that. I'm going to check it without playing it. Okay, so I want to just make sure in that second measure here, I've got to actually play it for you guys so you know what I'm thinking. B flat, C natural, A, B flat, and then 2 flats here, A flat, and playing it as well, after you've mentally used your mind to absorb that information is fine. But don't just be this robot that just kind of plays and music's just kind of washing over you and you're brain dead and you have no idea what's going on. Really take a moment to analyze that. Try to memorize that. This is something that I'm doing is I will just take a small section. I'm not Daniel Trifonov that can probably take a whole page and do this in, one try. He also works very hard. He's one of the most hardworking individuals I've ever met. So maybe that's insulting to say that he could do this in one try, because that would, downplay his work ethic. But I mean, man, he works hard and he is so brilliant. But I know my limitations. I'm going to maybe try to take 2 measures. If you are intimidated by that, maybe you take, 1 beat to start out with. Maybe you just take this, okay? But I'm just going to read that a couple of times. Okay, second time. Okay, now I'm going to try it. Still not sure I got those notes right. I think I did. A, B flat, A flat, B flat, A flat, G, A flat, G. No. Oh, yeah. There's a tie. I was like, how does that go to C major? Yeah. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, starts on C sharp in the left hand. Stay on the white keys there. D minor, C major. Okay, now let's try this. That's a fingering issue. That's why I'm messing that up. 2 1 2 1 3 2. You could either do 1 2 1 1 2 1 and move your hand, or you could do 1 3 2. My mind is still kind of debating that, so I'm going to try the 3 2 this time. Let's put some pedal in it. Your mind will play tricks on you. Okay, that's feeling pretty good now. Okay, I'm using my mind instead of just my, kinesthetics, what it feels like on the piano, and kind of checking out mentally. That's step number 5 today. Use your mind to learn your music, along with, obviously, you've got to figure out what it feels like in the muscles too, but almost separate those two when you're at least at the memorization phase, if not earlier. Because that will engage your mind a lot more. You read stories about some concert pianists being called on at the last minute to play a Mozart concerto that they have to kind of like learn on the flight there. They're familiar with it, I'm sure. I'm sure they've listened to it a bunch throughout their lives, but maybe they haven't learned it. And they're able to absorb that because on the plane, they're mentally making all these notes. So when they get to the instrument, they have already envisioned it. It's like this preconceived meditation on the music that allows them to simulate what it's going to feel like. A lot of people, I think that piano is only touch. While that's a huge part of it, a lot of it goes on up here, and you can study in the hallway. You can study in bed at night. You can study on a commute, wherever it might be, away from the piano. So that's tip number 5. I hope these tips have helped each of you. If you have enjoyed this video or any of my other videos, I'd be so grateful if you could subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, share it with your friends. I'm going to leave a few links in the description below. The first one is for a free webinar containing 10 of my favorite tips to help take your playing to the next level. These are tips I use every day in my playing and teaching. I'll leave 2 links for 2 of my paid courses, my most popular paid courses, if you want to go even deeper than this channel offers. And then finally, a link for my kit, which is all this gear I use to create these videos in case you're wanting to make some recordings or get a little extra inspiration with some CD and book recommendations, or you need help with theory, or you need a new piano bench. I have recommendations for a lot of different pieces of gear in that kit. Have a great week. Good luck in your practice sessions.